Hola mi gente, buenos dias. Hey guys, welcome to the video where I'll be talking about what is a snapping bicep femoris and how my journey ultimately led up to me deciding on surgery. It's gonna be really brief, hopefully super informational, so stick with me. If you're clicking on this video, you're probably looking for answers for something that is super uncommon and most people haven't seen, and hopefully I can cover a lot of questions in this video. So, what is a snapping bicep femoris? A snapping bicep femoris is when the bicep tendon partially dislocates over the femoral head. And this typically happens when you're in deep flexion past 90 degrees. A few symptoms you might be feeling with this injury or deformity. It could be some sharp pain down that area, although sometimes it's associated with the snapping and maybe it won't start that way. It'll start to get that way later on, or you can be experiencing like aching or some type of almost feels like a heartbeat, like a throbbing, and that can happen like after being active for a certain period of time. So if you're walking for a long period of time, if you're doing exercises or squatting, stuff like that, you might start to feel that over a period of time. I mentioned the word deformity a little bit a few seconds ago, and the reason I say that is because you might have had this before without even noticing it. I think I'm a perfect example of that. I didn't know I had it. I just felt pain associated with the snapping, and it happened randomly when I went down for a squat, and I just felt something. So I took a look, and then I was like, I've never seen that before, and made me, very curious about what it was, and why do I have that, and why does it feel painful? But come to find out, I look all the way in my gallery a few months after, and I see a video of me squatting, and this is probably about like 3 years ago. I squat, and the snapping was occurring then. So it could be a deformity you might have been born with, or it might have happened a long time ago. You just never realized that it was happening to you, and now it's starting to bother. I think one big thing to keep in mind here is this can develop with pain quickly depending on what you do for a living. So I remember looking for answers online, Google, YouTube, and some people have said that they had it for tons of years. But you got to remember, if you're more active, then you might start to trigger and cause more inflammation on that area because you're more active. You're bending your knee more, or if you're an athlete, or if your job requires you to lift, or you're just overall active, you might feel this more than someone who's not having to be as active. For me, I work as a squash professional. If you don't know what squash is a sport, now an official Olympic sport, which is amazing. I coach the sport of squash, and I compete competitively when I can. I'm also a husband and a father of two, so pretty active lifestyle, and that kind of triggered a lot on my snapping bicep femoris, and that's why I started to really feel pain, and it started to pick up really quickly. All right, all that being said, this is what my journey looks like. I started PT as soon as I found out what this was, back maybe a little after January this year. And during the PT sessions, we would work on my hip flexor, strengthening that area, because sometimes your muscles might be overcompensating somewhere else because of lack of strength, maybe higher up or lower down. So the kneecap might have been in pain because of my hip flexor, this type of thing. I did that for 5 weeks. Over the course of 5 weeks, I actually started feeling more pain in my kneecap, not just along the left side of my knee, but under my kneecap. And so therefore, I was recommended to see a knee specialist. The knee specialist, helped me get an MRI, an X-ray, and to be honest, they came out pretty clean. There's one thing I'll go over towards the end, but it's unrelated to the snapping itself. So I then was prescribed inflammation pills, and basically, this surgeon has never seen it before. So I continued doing more research and trying to find someone that has probably seen it. So I see another knee specialist, and this knee surgeon, has not seen it either. And he's interested in what this could possibly be and how to fix it, which is awesome because that's what I want to see, right? And he was great. He told me to pretty much like look for a dynamic ultrasound, book an appointment somewhere to get that done, because he wanted to see what it would look like, or what's happening in motion, right? The MRI is still, X-ray is still, but the dynamic ultrasound is in motion. So that was good. Now I just got to find a place to get a dynamic ultrasound. In the meantime, I started trying to do PT a little bit more again because I want to see if I can do this without having to get surgery. Here's where I want to shout out Rebalance Physical Therapy and Wellness. This is a place really dear to my heart, because of the fact that they took a really big interest in helping me trying to figure out a non-operative measure to fix this, right? Something that I didn't even know what it was. And they also haven't seen it before. And so basically there we did specific exercises for that tendon. And we also did a lot of dry kneading to release pressures around the kneecap. This was great. However, because it's so uncommon, it didn't work in terms of fixing the snapping. But what was great is that they knew of a surgeon in UPenn. And if you're in the Philadelphia area or in PA, this is in the United States, right? So if you're in Pennsylvania, around this area there, there's a surgeon in UPenn by the name of Dr. John Kelly. And so if it weren't for Rebalance Physical Therapy and Wellness, I would never have even known, where to go after that. So they said that he was in the business for knee and hips for 30 years, right? And so seeing him was like a big possibility of figuring this thing out. In the meantime, my goal was just to get that dynamic ultrasound done because I wanted to go into this appointment with the doctor with as much information as possible. So I get a dynamic ultrasound. The dynamic ultrasound shows that the snapping is causing scar tissue, and that's pretty much where the discomfort comes from, because it's just all this scar tissue and it's inflamed up, right? So one thing they actually did was inject me with some needles that could release the scar tissues. And for me, it didn't work, it didn't help, but maybe for someone else it could. So I just wanted to throw that out there. It's one of the things that we did. So after that, I go see the surgeon at UPenn, and he's seen this before, which is great. And I have surgery tomorrow. And so that's why I wanted to make the video. He also mentioned that in my knee, there's something that he wants to look at with an arthroscopy. So they'll be going in with like a camera into my meniscus just to check something out there. But I think that's completely unrelated to like the snapping bicep femoris. Those are two separate pains that I'm feeling, but the one that's really uncommon is that snapping that's happening on the side of the knee. And so this is pretty much the video I wanted to make, and hopefully it helps you guys understand what this is and maybe how you could go about it. Let me know if you've done something different. And yeah, sorry, I forgot to mention the recovery time is about 12 weeks. So if you're someone who's an athlete or someone whose job relies on being active, just know that you'll probably be out for at least 12 weeks. Hasta luego. Nos vemos en la próxima. See you guys in the next one. Ciao.